I made this effect with DaVinci Resolve Fusion, and I didn't find any tutorial that showed how to make something like this in Fusion, so I'm making this one. To start off, you just make a Fusion composition. I'll make it like this, something showed us like this, and you put your cursor on the clip, and then you open the Fusion page. You'll see that there's nothing, and the first thing you add the text node, which you can add by using this here, this toolbar, or by pressing Control space and searching for text and selecting the text plus node here. So you just connect the text with the media out and type in anything you want, and now you'll just have this text. So to make the copies, you have to use a duplicate node. So you just do Control space and search for duplicate, and what this node does is basically just makes duplicates of whatever node you connect it to. So here you can see that there should be 2 copies by default, but you can only see the normal text, so you don't really see the copies. And that's because you can try to increase the copies, but you won't see anything. And that's because, well, those copies are there, but they're just behind the normal text that we have. What I did is just offset the Y of the copies. You can offset the X as well, but for the effect that I made, I only offsetted the Y. And this, actually won't be making this one. This just uses 2 duplicates. I'll make this one, which is simpler and just uses 1 duplicate. And once you know how to make this, you'll know how to make this as well. So what I'll do is bring the first text up here, and then I'll just, with the duplicate, maybe make it bigger as well, and offset the Y a little bit more. So let's say this much, and maybe we can add 6 copies instead of 5, and that looks fine to me. And what you see is nothing is animating, and that's because our normal text is not really animating. So what the duplicate does is just it copies whatever this node does. So what you need to do is animate this original node. So what you can do is, let's just animate the size of this first hello. So let's say after 8 frames it will become this size. So I'll just add a keyframe here, and at frame 0 I'll just make it smaller. Let's say something like this. So what will happen now is it will just animate, but it doesn't really look that nice because they're all animating at the same time. So what you can do here is a really nice effect in the duplicate node. You can use the time offset setting here, and you can just offset the time, and this will basically make all these duplicates do the same thing that the text does, but a little bit later, one after the other. So this is what this effect looks like, something like this. And obviously now this is like a very smooth effect, and what you see here is much faster, and that only depends on really the animation that you give the parent text. So if you make this animation a little bit faster, everything else will look faster as well. So what I'll do very quickly is just modify this animation. So I'll open up the spline panel here, select both of these and smooth them, and then I'll just take this first node here and basically make it grow very fast. So it will grow very fast and then ease out. So this is the effect. Now when you do this, sometimes the duplicate node, it doesn't work as expected, it just glitches out. So what I usually do is just use an integer, so I'll do -3, and with this hopefully it will look better. Yeah, it looks, I think, yeah, this looks much better. And this usually fixes itself if you just move it after making any change. If you move it, it should fix itself. Like now, even though we're using a fraction, it still works. So if you make any change to this, and if you see the effect like glitching out, just change the original, like change this time offset a little bit, and it should fix itself. So this is pretty much the effect. I'll very quickly just add a background here. So I usually add the background like after here, and what you see is the background covers the text because the background node is getting merged on top of the text. What you need to do here is swap these out. You can do this manually by doing this and then connecting this to the foreground, or you can just use the Control-T shortcut, which just switches these out. As you can see, whenever I press Control-T, it's switching them out. And here you just select a similar background color to the one I had before, and that's pretty much it. That's a simple text effect. And what you need to do for this one, what I did for this one is just use 2 duplicates. So here you can see I have the original text here, and I made a duplicate which does this. But then I added another duplicate which basically does the same thing, but instead of having a offset of 0.662, it has an offset of 0.338, which the middle of the screen, this normal one, has a Y of 0.5. So this basically goes up, and this node makes the other text, the copies, go down. So this is basically it. So when you merge them together, you have 2 of them, and it's just doing this. All you do is just animate this modern one, and all the others will do the same. In this case, I actually didn't want all the others also growing like this. So what I did is I animated the time up. I animated the copies, sorry. You can see that the copies are animated, so you won't see the copies until frame 5, because I actually don't want this growing effect to be applied on the copies. So the copies actually just show up without any effect, because the growing effect on the text only lasts 5 frames, as you can see. So if I do the text here, it ends at frame 5. So the copies won't really won't be affected by the animation on this text. Yeah, so that's pretty much the effect, and thank you for watching.